Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an Enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Paige DeSorbo from Giggly Squad. Opill is a game changer for sexual reproductive health. They're the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Finally, the days of needing a prescription to get birth control are over. Opill is FDA approved, no prescription needed, full prescription strength, estrogen-free, and available online and at most major retailers. So when there's no prescription, no appointment, there's no hassle. No more waiting at the doctor's office to get a prescription. Opill will be easily accessed over the counter, in store, or online, and will be ready for when you need it. Opill is available online and at most major retailers. Use code GIGGLY for 25% off your first month of Opill at opill.com.
Out here, we feel things. The sore calves that lead to epic views, the cool waterfall mist during a hot hike, and the breeze that hits just right at the summit. But hey, don't just listen to us. Experience it for yourself. All Trails makes it easy to discover the best of the outdoors, with more than 450,000 trails around the world, points of interest along the trail, and offline maps for always-on navigation. Download the free app today and find your next outdoor adventure.
This is Auditory Anthology, a podcast featuring the best sci-fi short fiction. I'm your curator, Keith Conrad. We release new stories every Tuesday and Thursday. If you like what you hear, I hope you'll take the time to rate and review our show on your podcast player of choice. And be sure to recommend the show to a friend. That'll help us grow the podcast and continue to share these stories with you each and every week. You can also support the show by subscribing to our new Substack at auditoryanthology.substack.com. By becoming a paid subscriber, you'll help keep the stories coming. You'll also get every episode completely commercial-free, and now you can vote on which story will feature in upcoming episodes. If you have a story you'd like to contribute to the series, you can visit submissions.soundconceptmedia.com or just follow the link in the show notes. This week's story is A Bad Day for Vermin by Keith Laumer. When a mysterious alien lands in small-town Illinois, the town must decide what makes someone a person before it's too late.
Judge Carter Gates of the Third Circuit Court finished his chicken salad on whole wheat, thoughtfully crumpled the waxed paper bag, and turned to drop it in the wastebasket behind his chair, and sat transfixed. Through his second-floor office window, he saw a 40-foot flower petal shape of pale turquoise settling gently between the well-tended petunia beds on the courthouse lawn. On the upper, or stem, end of the vessel, a translucent pink panel popped up and a slender, graceful form not unlike a large violet caterpillar undulated into view. Judge Gates whirled to the telephone. Half an hour later, he put it to the officials gathered with him in a tight group on the lawn. "Boys, this thing is intelligent. Any fool can see that. It's putting together what my boy assures me is some kind of talking machine. At any minute now, it's going to start communicating. It's been 20 minutes since I notified Washington on this thing. It won't be long before somebody back there decides this is top secret and slaps a freeze on us here that'll make the Manhattan Project look like a publicity campaign. Now, I say this is the biggest thing that ever happened to Plum County, but if we don't aim to be put right out of the picture, we'd better move fast."
"What you got in mind, Judge?"
"I propose we hold an open hearing right here in the courthouse the minute that thing gets its gear to working. We'll put it on the air. Tom Clembers from the radio station's already stringing wires, I see. Too bad we've got no TV equipment, but Jody Hurd has a movie camera. We'll put Willow Grove on the map bigger than Cape Canaveral ever was."
"We're with you on that, Carter."
10 minutes after the melodious voice of the Fianna's translator had requested escort to the village headman, The visitor was looking over the crowded courtroom with an expression reminiscent of a St. Bernard puppy hoping for a rump. The rustle of feet and throat clearing subsided, and the speaker began. "People of the green world, happy the cycle—" Heads turned at the clump of feet coming down the side aisle. A heavy-torsoed man of middle age, bald, wearing a khaki shirt and trousers and rimless glasses and with a dark leather holster slapping his hip at each step, cleared the end of the front row of seats, planted himself, feet apart, yanked a heavy nickel-plated .44 revolver from the holster, took aim, and fired 5 shots into the body of the Fianna at a range of 10 feet. The violet form whipped convulsively, writhed from the bench to the floor with a sound like a wet fire hose being dropped, uttered a gasping twitter, and lay still. The gunman turned, dropped the pistol, threw up his hands, and called, "Sheriff Hoskins, I'm putting myself in your protective custody!" There was a moment of stunned silence, then a rush of spectators for the alien. The sheriff's 309-pound bulk bellied through the shouting mob to take up a stand before the khaki-clad man. "I always knew you was a mean one, Cecil Stump," he said, unlimbering handcuffs, "ever since I seen you making up them round-glass baits for Joe Potter's dog. But I never thought I'd see you turn to cold-blooded murder." He waved at the bystanders. "Clear a path through here. I'm taking my prisoner over to the jail." "Just a dad-blamed minute, Sheriff." Stump's face was pale. His glasses were gone, and one khaki shoulder strap dangled. But what was almost a grin twisted one meaty cheek. He hid his hands behind his back, leaned away from the cuffs. "I don't like that word, prisoner. I asked you for protection. And better look out who you go throwing that word murder off at, too. I ain't murdered nobody." The sheriff blinked, turned to roar. "How's the victim, Doc?" The small gray head rose from bending over the limp form of the Fianna. "Deader than the mackerel, Sheriff." "I guess that's it. Let's go, Cecil." "What's the charge?" "First-degree murder." "Who'd I murder?" "Why, you killed this stranger." "That ain't no stranger. That's a varmint. Murder's got to do with killing humans. Way I understand it. You gonna tell me that thing is human?" 10 people shouted at once. "Human as I am! Intelligent being! Tell me you can simply kill! Must be some kind of law!" The sheriff raised his hands, his jowls drawn down in a scowl. "What about it, Judge Gates? Any law against Cecil Stump killing the The judge thrust out his lower lip. "Well, let's see," he began. "Technically—" "Good Lord!" someone blurted. "You mean the laws on murder don't define what constitutes— I mean, what a human is?" Stump snorted. "Whatever it says. It sure Bob don't include no purple worms. That's a varmint, pure and simple. Ain't no different killing it than any other critter." "Then by God, we'll get him for malicious damage," a man called, "or hunting without a license out of season. Carrying concealed weapons." Stump went for his hip pocket, fumbled out a fat, shapeless wallet, extracted a thumbed rectangle of folded paper, offered it. "I'm a licensed exterminator. Got a permit to carry the gun, too. I ain't broken no law." He grinned openly now. "Just doing my job, Sheriff, and at no charge to the county." A smaller man with bristly red hair flared his nostrils at Stump. "You bloodthirsty idiot!" He raised a fist and shook it. "We'll be a national disgrace, worse than Little Rock. Lynching's too good for you." "Hold on there, Weinstein," the sheriff cut in. "Let's not go getting no lynch talk started." "Lynch it is," Cecil Stump bellowed, his face suddenly red. "Why, I done a favor for every man here. Now you listen to me. What is that thing over there?" He jerked a blunt thumb toward the judicial bench. "It's some kind of critter from Mars or someplace. You know that as well as me. And what's it here for? It ain't for the good of the likes of you and me, I can tell you that. It's them or us, and this time, by God, we got in the first lick." "Why, you hate monger!" "Now, hold on right there. I'm as liberal-minded as the next feller. But when it comes to taking in a damn purple worm and calling it a human, that's where I draw the line." Sheriff Hoskins pushed between Stump and the surging front rank of the crowd. "Stay back there. I want you to disperse peaceably and let the law handle this."
I reckon I'll push off now, Sheriff.
Stump hitched up his belt.
I figured you might have to calm them down right at first, but now they've had a chance to think it over. And see, I ain't broken no law. Ain't none of these law-abiding folks going to do anything illegal, like trying to get rough with a licensed exterminator just doing his job.
He stooped, retrieved his gun.
Here, I'll take that, Sheriff Hoskins said. You can consider your gun license canceled, and your exterminating license too.
Stump grinned again, handed the revolver over.
Sure, I'm cooperative, Sheriff. Anything you say. Send it around to my place when you're done with it.
He pushed his way through the crowd to the corridor door. The rest of you stay put. A portly man with a head of bushy white hair pushed his way through to the bench. I'm calling an emergency town meeting to order, here and now. He banged the gavel on the scarred bench top, glanced down at the body of the dead alien, now covered by a flag.
Gentlemen, we gotta take fast action. If the wire services get hold of this before we've gone on record, Willow Grove will be a blighted area.
Look here, Willard, Judge Gates called, rising. This mob isn't competent to take legal action.
Never mind what's legal, Judge. Sure, this calls for federal legislation, maybe a constitutional amendment, but in the meantime, we're gonna redefine what constitutes a person within the incorporated limits of Willow Grove.
That's the least we can do, a thin-faced woman snapped, glaring at Judge Gates. Do you think we're going to sit here and condone this outrage?
Nonsense, Gates shouted. I don't like what happened any better than you do, but a person's got 2 arms and 2 legs and—
Shape's got nothing to do with it, the chairman cut in. Bears walk on 2 legs. Dave Zawacki lost his in the war. Monkeys have hands.
Any intelligent creature, the woman started.
Nope, that won't do either. My unfortunate cousin's boy Melvin was born an imbecile. Poor lad. Now, folks, there's no time to waste. We'll find it very difficult to formulate a satisfactory definition based on considerations such as these. However, I think we can resolve the question in terms that'll form a basis for future legislation on the question. It's gonna make some big changes in things. Hunters aren't gonna like it, and the meat industry will be affected, but if, as it appears, we're entering into an era of contact with, creatures from other worlds, we gotta get our house in order.
You tell him, Senator,
someone yelled. We better leave this for Congress to figure out, another voice insisted.
We gotta do something.
The senator held up his hands. Quiet, everybody. There'll be reporters here in a matter of minutes. Maybe our ordinance won't hold water, but it'll start 'em thinking, and it'll make a lot better copy for Willow Grove than the killing.
What you got in mind, Senator?
Just this, the senator said solemnly. A person is any harmless creature. Feet shuffled. Someone coughed.
What about a man who commits a violent act, then? Judge Gates demanded. What's he, huh?
Well, that's obvious, gentlemen, the senator said flatly. He's Vermin. On the courthouse steps, Cecil Stump stood, hands in hip pockets, talking to a reporter from the big town paper in Mattoon, surrounded by a crowd of latecomers who had missed the excitement inside. He described the accuracy of his 5 shots, the sound they had made hitting the big blue snake, and the ludicrous spectacle the latter had presented in its death agony. He winked at a foxy man in overalls picking his nose at the edge of the crowd.
Guess it'll be a while for any more damned reptiles move in here like they owned the place, he concluded.
The courthouse doors banged wide. Excited citizens poured forth, veering aside from Cecil Stump. The crowd around him thinned, broke up as its members collared those emerging with the hot news. The reporter picked a target.
Perhaps you'd care to give them a few details of the action taken by the special committee, sir.
Senator Custis pursed his lips. A session of the town council was called, he said. We've defined what a person is in this town. Stump, standing 10 feet away, snorted.
Can't touch me with no ex-post factory law.
And also what can be classified as vermin, Custis went on. Stump closed his mouth with a snap.
Here, that's supposed to be some kind of slam at me, Custis? By God, come election time.
Above, the door opened again, A tall man in a leather jacket stepped out, stood looking down. The crowd pressed back. Senator Custis and the reporter moved aside. The newcomer came down the steps, slowly. He carried Cecil Stump's nickel-plated .44 in his hand. Standing alone now, Stump watched him. "Here," he said. His voice carried a sudden note of strain. "Who are you?" The man reached the foot of the steps, raised the revolver and cocked it with a thumb. "I'm the new exterminator," he said.
This is Paige DeSorbo from Giggly Squad. Opill is a game changer for sexual reproductive health. They're the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Finally, the days of needing a prescription to get birth control are over. Opill is FDA approved, no prescription needed, full prescription strength, estrogen-free, and available online and at most major retailers. So when there's no prescription, no appointment, there's no hassle. No more waiting at the doctor's office to get a prescription. Opill will be easily accessed over the counter, in store, or online, and will be ready for when you need it. Opill is available online and at most major retailers. Use code GIGGLY for 25% off your first month of Opill at opill.com.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Auditory Anthology is curated and produced by me, Keith Conrad. Your narrator is Darren Marlar. Be sure to check out Darren's award-winning paranormal podcast, Weird Darkness, available at weirddarkness.com and your podcast app of choice. This week's story was A Bad Day for Vermin by Keith Laumer. It was first published in Galaxy Science Fiction in February of 1964. Next week, we'll have our spooky sci-fi stories called Tales from the Blue Line on Tuesday. And then our regular Thursday story will be The Dream Snake by Robert E. Howard. Man plagued since childhood by a recurring dream of a monstrous snake stalking him across the African grasslands. Here's that if it ever actually catches up to him, even in his sleep, he might lose his mind forever.
Hi, I'm Raj Punjabi from HuffPost.
And I'm Noah Michelson, also from HuffPost.
And we're the hosts of Am I Doing It Wrong?, a new podcast that explores the all-too-human anxieties we have about trying to get our lives right.
Each week on the podcast, Raj and I pick a new topic that we want to understand better and bring a guest expert on to talk us through how to get it right.
And we're talking like legit, credible experts. Doctors, PhDs, all-around superheroes.
From HuffPost and Acast Studios, check out Am I Doing It Wrong? Wherever you get your podcasts.
Under Biden, Americans' cost of living skyrocketed. Food, housing, auto insurance. Lawsuit abuse is a big reason everything's more expensive today. Frivolous lawsuits cost working Americans over $4,000 a year in hidden taxes. President Trump understands the problem. That's why he supports loser pays legislation to stop lawsuit abuse and put thousands back in the pockets of hardworking Americans. It's time to make America affordable again. It's time to support the president's plan.
Going on now, it's the Memorial Day sale at Bray & Scarf. Now's your last chance to beat upcoming manufacturer price increases. Save up to 35% on select GE Profile and Cafe appliances. And save on in-stock GE refrigerators and best-selling washers and dryers. Plus, get next-day delivery, online delivery day tracking, and delivery day installation. Visit any of Bray & Scarf's convenient locations or shop online at brayandscarf.com, where it doesn't cost more to get more.